looking at the world's most powerful production SUV, the Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat. I am loving this recent trend in FCA product development. Take the Hellcat motor and put it into everything. Before this, the Jeep Trackhawk was the one that got this Hellcat power plant, but now we have it in the full-size 3-row Dodge Durango. 6.2-liter supercharged V8 that makes 710 horsepower and 645 pound-feet of torque, which officially makes this the most powerful SUV in the world. It is also supposedly the fastest production 3-row SUV with a top speed of 180 miles an hour. I think one of the best things about putting this Hellcat powertrain into SUVs is you get all-wheel drive, which really does help put the power down. So with launch control, again, this 3-row Dodge Durango has launch control. It will do 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds to a quarter-mile time of 11.5, which is hysterical given the size of this vehicle. And I have tested out launch control many times in this vehicle. It's been cold, you can see it's snowy, so traction isn't ideal. But even so, I recorded multiple 3.5, 3.4, 0 to 60s. The most hysterical one was where it launched and spun all 4 wheels. I looked down at the timer and it said 0 to 60 in 2.2 seconds. So this car currently shows a best 0 to 60 of 2.2, which might be a world record, but obviously not accurate because all it did was spin all 4 wheels, so wheel speed hit 60. Either way, this thing is a serious monster in terms of performance. Other things with the powertrain, like I said, a ZF-sourced 8-speed automatic transmission that's rated to tow in all the SUVs with this Hellcat powertrain, like the Jeep Trackhawk, but this is able to tow the most. When properly equipped, 8,700 pound towing capacity. So you could seriously take your Durango Hellcat and tow your demon to the drag strip and have both of them run crazy fast quarter-mile times. Almost exactly a year ago, I was spending a week with the regular Durango SRT with the 392 V8. That thing made only 475 horsepower, I think, and it was hysterical. I loved it. It was so much fun. 0 to 60 in that was rated at 4.7 seconds. But that just makes this seem even more extreme, almost actually over a second faster to 60, way more horsepower, over 200 more horsepower, and that is the recipe for the Durango Hellcat. In terms of exterior styling, I feel like the Durango Hellcat in some ways can be considered a little bit of a sleeper because unless you know what to look for, it's very similar to a regular Durango or even a Durango SRT. But if you do know what to look for, you'll be like, why are there giant Hellcat badges on the side? And also, why does it sound like that? I hear supercharger whine. The things that are different, we have a different front grille here. We have obviously those Hellcat SRT badges. Also, this intake here is functional. You need a lot of air. It's all high airflow, redesigned front fascia, 710 horsepower. That requires both a lot of fuel and a lot of air. So to feed that motor, they redesigned this front fascia. The updated headlights too with the LED DRLs I think look really nice. Around side, obviously the giant Hellcat badge. And as you move your way down to the wheels, they're 20 by 10 inch wheels with big 15.75 inch brakes up front with red SRT calipers. They're Brembo's 6 pistons, so you can haul down this giant SUV to a stop as fast as it gets up and goes. Overall, though, you look at this giant SUV finished in Destroyer gray with the black racing stripes. It looks sporty, but I don't know if you would quite immediately go, wait, that's got 710 horsepower. With that, let's hop inside. We'll take it for a drive, talk about the interior and the value of the Durango Hellcat. The Hellcat is a 2021 model year Durango, so we have some interior updates. The most noticeable one is the new Uconnect 5 system, which has a 10.1-inch touchscreen in the middle. It's more horizontally oriented, and it just works so well. Very responsive, very clear, and is easy to use. You get in it immediately, it's comfortable. Some fun touches, the climate control, the little person that shows where your airflow is going, has a racing helmet on it. If you go over to the SRT page, also accessible with the SRT toggle, we have performance pages, drive modes, race options. Drive modes allow you to change through different things with your suspension, your transmission, all-wheel drive, stability control, all things like that. And then if we go over to, let's see if I go back to performance pages, we have the timers, so that shows various things like 60-foot, quarter mile, eighth mile, 0 to 60, all sorts of data there. We have like the dyno/engine that shows the power that's being produced right now by that motor. That was just half throttle. Oh, that was using, let's see, it says 600 horsepower. So I still had 100 more to go. And then the very last thing is the race options, which is your launch control. You can change your RPM and also the shift light indicator. We have Apple CarPlay that's wireless, so I just usually get in the car. My iPhone sits on the wireless charger, and I'm running CarPlay for music and everything. So the Uconnect 5 system is great. What I don't like as much is the center cluster here. Sometimes it felt like it lagged a little bit, but it brings up good info, like the launch control timer, your fuel economy ratings of currently 9.6 average. I have not been driving this vehicle in a very fuel efficient manner, but it makes 710 horsepower. Throughout the rest of the interior, some other updates, we have forged carbon accents, actual forged carbon on the door, on the center console here, across the dash there, on the other door. That's a really cool touch. I remember seeing that at the FCA event I was at when the first time I saw the Durango Hellcat in person. I was like, whoa, that's real forged carbon. Heated steering wheel, heated cooled front seats, and actual physical buttons here and rotary knobs that don't only rely on the touchscreen. So that's very nice. It's very spacious. The seats are comfortable. They're a nice blend of holding you nicely with some nice bolsters, but not being so aggressive that you will be uncomfortable. Overall, I mean, the interior of the Durango Hellcat is very, very nice. Especially you get the Hellcat SRT embroidery on the back of the seats too. But this is the world's most powerful SUV and the world's fastest three-row SUV. So it's all about what is it like to drive, and to sum it up in one word, absurd. I need to get a thesaurus because I'm going to use the word absurd so many times to describe the driving experience of this thing, because that's really all I can think of. If I just randomly floor it, it never stops pulling. Oh my gosh. I mean, the Hellcat motor is awesome. I know this powertrain combination is just always going to produce a huge smile on your face. But in something of this size, you're just like, huh? Your brain struggles to comprehend why this exists, what it's doing, and you're just like, what just happened? So, 710 horsepower is a lot. It's a heavier SUV. I think it's curb weight of right around 5,700 pounds. Despite that, with that ZF 8-speed auto, it's always in the power band. You put your foot down, whether it's passing maneuvers, getting up the speed on a freeway, you are instantly there. In terms of handling, we have adaptive dampers, multi-way dampers there. They are a little bit stiffer for application in this Hellcat. And then the thing is, a year ago, I did drive the regular Durango SRT, and I thought it was hilarious. But this thing just takes it to a whole other level. I mean, it's way more power, and it's way more capable. This is one of those things where you're driving it and you're just giggling to yourself. Like, look at me right now. I'm struggling to form coherent sentences and string together words and weave in the facts and data about this thing, because all I want to do is just... What makes this thing so good is that all-wheel drive system, because it allows you to put the power down in all sorts of situations. It's 25 degrees out. Through this past week, it's snowed, it's been wet, cold, essentially crappy conditions, where if you're driving like a Ferrari Pista, you won't put down your 700 horsepower because all you do is spin. With the all-wheel drive system, it typically is a 60-40 split, 60% going to the back. There is a snow mode if you're in deep snow, 50-50 power split. If you go into, I think, sport mode, it goes to 65-35, and the most aggressive is track mode. Yes, this SUV has a track mode where it sends 70% of the power to the rear wheels. And I mean, it just, when you're trying to take a turn to put the power down, it pulls it in and it just goes. Have I been able to break loose? Absolutely, yes, I have. Just by driving like a complete moron. Yes, I got all four wheels to spin, but it never felt uncontrollable, never felt ungainly. It just felt hysterically absurd. And the way this thing sounds, it's not overwhelmingly loud and obnoxious. I drove my friend's Demon, and that was like, oh my gosh, this is just, you couldn't live with that on a normal, regular basis. This has a nice rumble from the back and the supercharger whine. Even when you're not getting on it, just casually 3,500, 4,000 RPM rolling onto it, you hear that supercharger whine. When you do get onto it, it sounds like 700 horsepower. And from that regard, this thing is, again, absurd. In terms of value, well, the Durango Hellcat starts at right around $80,000. As option, this one is just under 90 grand. if you look at the competitors, well, nothing can touch this in terms of power. This is the most powerful SUV in the world. When I first read it, I was like, wait, really? And I thought about it. Obviously, the Trackhawk was just under this, but then like a Lamborghini Urus is still in the 600s, like the Cayenne Turbo SE Hybrid, I think is 670 horsepower. So in terms of pure horsepower output, yes, you cannot beat a Durango Hellcat. Now, this is a little bit of an older platform, so some of the things are starting to feel a little bit more on the aged side, but this refresh is still keeping it nice and current. This new Uconnect screen here. Now, some of the competitors, I've been driving a few family-sized SUVs, 3 rows, and some are performance iterations, like the new Cadillac Escalade, a Ford Expedition Platinum. I drove the Audi SQ7, SQ8. So especially the Germans, like an SQ8 is a lot more comfortable in the air suspension. It rides better, has a lot more of the tech and features and gimmicks and the double touchscreens and things like that. But in terms of sheer fun, none of them can touch the Durango Hellcat. I think this is the most fun SUV I have ever driven. Overall, would I take an Urus? Yes, but an Urus is more than twice the price of this. That's one of my favorite SUVs in the world. Do I love the G63 AMG for the also over-the-top absurdity? Yes, but again, more than twice the price of this. So in just sheer fun and hilarity, the Durango Hellcat is unmatched. In terms of like a BMW X5M, a regular one starts at just over 100, an X5M comp is 115 grand, and that's over 100 horsepower under the Durango Hellcat. Now, will those be sharper, have maybe a little more premium interior and a different ownership experience? Absolutely, I'm not arguing that. But if you need space, 3 rows, or cargo space, the ability to tow, this beats out the SQ7 in terms of towing. I think that's 7,700 pounds. This is 8,700 pounds. And you want to say I have a Hellcat-powered Durango, you can't beat this. You cannot look anywhere else other than the SRT Durango Hellcat. Now, the other big competitor is the Jeep Trackhawk. Obviously, it comes from the same family. You feel a lot of the same experience. I think it's the exact same transmission. So that one makes more sense if you don't quite need 3 rows the size of this. And I think they're similar price. This might be a little bit cheaper than the Jeep Trackhawk. But overall, my time with this Durango Hellcat has just been full of smiles, making friends. Just like, it blew their minds. I took out a couple coworkers, they were just giggling like kids in the back of the Durango Hellcat. Now, if you want to buy one, I do have some bad news for you. The Durango Hellcat is only being built for one model year, the 2021 model year, and apparently I just recently saw the full 2,000 production run slots are gone, so you cannot order one anymore. There might be some dealers that have unallocated models sold, but if you want to buy a brand new Durango Hellcat, only available for 1 year, which I think is going to make it more special. It's just so hilariously over the top. It's so ridiculous. You look at it on paper, you're like, they made a 3-row SUV with 710 horsepower? Sign me right up. Where can I get one? This thing is hilarious. The only downside is it drinks fuel like so bad. I need to fill up again, and I already filled up, I think, 2 days ago. So that there is the Durango Hellcat. I certainly enjoyed my time with this. This recipe is just the perfect recipe for putting a big smile on your face and terrifying your kids on the way to school. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you also check out the kind of more behind the scenes vlog of living with the Durango Hellcat, show you guys some of the other details. But any SUV with launch control is going to be fun, especially when it has 710 horsepower. I appreciate all the support, guys. Hope you guys like this review. Thanks for watching.